Making headlines tonight, Harper hoping Windies veterans will set benchmark. Jamaican sprinter refuses vaccine, and Djokovic equals Federer's record. Good evening and welcome to the major ZDK Sports Edition for Monday, March 1, 2021. I am your presenter, Terry Laraji, and now for the details. We begin tonight bowling off with cricket. Cricket West Indies Chief of Selectors Roger Harper hopes the selection of veteran players like Chris Gayle and Fidel Edwards gives young players a good idea of the kind of standard required for selection heading into the team's World Cup title defence later this year. Gayle, who was 41 years old, and Edwards, who was 39, were both selected as part of the T20 international squad ahead of the team's upcoming series against Sri Lanka. Edwards, who has been out of the international scene for the past 8 years, according to Harper, still brings exceptional quality to the team.
What a player like O'Shane Thomas offered us, and you remember on the last tour of Sri Lanka in the T20 games, is, the sort of firepower that can come and take wickets early, take wickets at the end, and really unsettle batsmen, With him not being available, not performing at the sort of level we expected of him, we looked for the type of player, the type of bowler that can offer us that. And I think when we looked around, the only bowler we thought at this time who offered us that sort of pace, that sort of firepower and penetration was Fidel Edwards.
Harper is of the opinion that Edwards' selection sends a message to the young players of the standards needed to make the West Indies team.
In relation to what message it sends to the young players, I would hope certainly it sends a message to the young players of the standards they need to attain. You would recall our performance in some of the T20 games, for example, in New Zealand, and us losing some games and where we were deficient. I would hope that the message that is sent is the standards that we need to attain and the sort of players that we need to have in those sort of teams, and that guys will work harder at developing their skills to get to that level.
Roger Harper. Windies head coach Phil Simmons sees the inclusion of veterans Gayle and Edwards as a great boost.
Well, it is a boost. We see what Chris did in his last IPL stint, and he shows that both with the bat and on the field, he looks fitter, he feels better, and he's still hitting the ball as we want to see him do it. We've seen Fidel in the last CPL, and we've seen that he can still muster over 90 miles an hour with his Sierra Yorkers, and both at the top end and the back end of the end, and he can do that. So it's great to have the two of them with us.
Phil Simmons. Cricket West Indies Director of Cricket, Jimmy Adams, has reiterated the fact that special consideration is given to players when fitness assessment tests are conducted, as is often the case in standard international practice. In light of the omission of batsman Shimron Hetmyer from the West Indies squad ahead of the tour by Sri Lanka, based on the player failing to meet the requisite fitness standards, critics have pointed fingers towards other members of the team they doubt are able to meet the requirements. According to Adams, there are going to be times when players for different reasons might be unable or incapable of achieving minimum standards.
There are exemptions that are given to these players, and the four main areas that are considered for these exemptions would be the player's age, individual physiological limitations, their injury history, and also their training history. And this is standard across many high-performance environments, and we are no different. This is also something that has been in place, certainly from before I came, because I was introduced to this document when I came here, and we have simply been applying it as the years have gone by.
Adams says exemptions are important as to not discriminate against any player who may have certain issues.
There are, as you know, quite a few players at the moment who have been exempted under one of these four headings. And it is something that I think maintains a robustness about the situation, so that if, for example, I were to use a situation, if I go back and look at an Indian spinner in the 70s who had a withered arm, if he were to do an upper body strength test, he would not be able to complete that test. And therefore, in that area, he would have to have an exemption. And if that test were tied to selection, then you could see how an exemption there would work in that situation. So it is making sure that we don't discriminate against players who may have issues, injuries, long-standing chronic things that prevent them from completing some of these tests.
CWI Director of Cricket, Jimmy Adams. And Cricket West Indies selection panel yesterday named 26 players to participate in a best versus best 4-day practice match in preparation for the upcoming Test series against Sri Lanka. The match will be held on March 8 to 11 at the Coolidge Cricket Ground, ahead of the 2 Test matches which will be played at the Sir Vivian Richards Cricket Stadium in Antigua, with one team to be captained by Craig Brathwaite and the other by Roston Chase. Several members of the West Indies Test team, which beat Bangladesh in the recent series, have been named for the match, while other recent Test squad players are participating in the CGI Insurance One-Day International Series from March 10 to 14. Meanwhile, Angelo Matthews has been named as Sri Lanka's stand-in captain for the T20 International Series in the West Indies, as Dason Shanaka, the appointed captain, is yet to join the team because of a delay in obtaining a US transit visa. Matthews has previously led Sri Lanka in 34 tests, 106 one-day internationals and 13 T20 internationals. As it stands on Sunday, Shanaka is yet to receive the visa and as such seems likely to miss the entire T20 International Series, his first assignment as the new T20 International captain. He will hope to make the one-day international leg of the tour at least, which starts on March 10. Meantime, Lendl Simmons played a match-winning innings, providing the perfect platform for Trinidad and Tobago Red Force to outplay Guyana Jaguars in the final of the CG Insurance Super 50 Cup on Saturday night at the Coolidge Cricket Ground here in Antigua, as the red-hot favourites won by 152 runs. Simmons made a monumental 146, as the Red Force made a whopping 362 off their 50 overs. He hit 15 fours and 7 sixes off 145 balls to register the highest score of this year's tournament, as well as the highest score by a Trinidadian in the 46 years of the event. Such heroics left the Jaguars with a mammoth target, and they fell well short, being bowled out for 210, with only left-hander Raymond Reifer playing brilliantly to end on 97 not out. Fast bowler Ravi Rampal was again on song with 4 wickets, his second 4-4 in as many matches, that took him to his 100th list day wicket for Trinidad and Tobago. Scores: Guyana Jaguars 210 all out of 43.5 overs, Reifer 97 not out, Rampal 4 for 52, Seals 3 for 40. Trinidad and Tobago Red Force 362 for 5, Simmons 146, Lewis 57. Red Force captain Kieron Pollard had the honour of lifting the Sir Clive Lloyd Trophy as his team accomplished the stated mission and showcased their dominance, winning all 7 matches. Another Red Force batsman, Jason Mohammed, was the leading run scorer for the competition with 327 runs at an average of 81.75, including 100 and 150, while Jaguars' Gudakesh Moti was the leading wicket taker after claiming 17 wickets at 16.64 apiece and a best of 4 for 45. And in the Antigua and Barbuda Cricket Association Super 40 competition on Saturday, New Winthrops defeated Jennings by 6 runs to claim third spot in a match reduced to 30 overs per side. Scores: New Winthrops 211 for 6, Otto 57, Moore 55, Joseph 2 for 37. Jennings 205 for 9, Miller 74, Moore 3 for 30. While in the final on Sunday, top team Bethesda were pushed to the limit before defeating Empire by 6 wickets. Empire, batting first, piled on 206 before rain interrupted proceedings, reducing the target to 147 off 25 overs. Needing 7 runs off the last over, former West Indies and Leeward Islands pair Anthony Martin and Gavin Tong were able to see Bethesda home. Scores in the match: Empire 206 all out off 40 overs, Williams Jr. 63, Tong 3 for 25. Bethesda chasing revised target of 147, 150 for 4 off 25 overs, Tong 41 not out, Pittman 41, Richards 2 for 18. Speaking on Sportsline today, a jubilant Bethesda captain, Darren Benter, spoke of the importance of having senior campaigners at the wicket at the death.
Yeah, you bring back experience and you can mold the youngsters coming up. And when you think that they're going to do great, you can just step back and allow them to do their thing.
Darren Benter. In other sporting developments tonight, running into athletics, Joella Lloyd shone brightly for the University of Tennessee at the SEC Championships in Arkansas on the weekend. Lloyd, an 18-year-old sophomore sprinter from Antigua, created a bit of school history while setting a personal best 7.15 seconds to win the 60-metre dash in what was her first final and first medal at the Indoor Championships. Lloyd, who lowered her personal best twice leading up to the start of the championships last Thursday, lowered her time even further.